Hello developers and welcome back to Genie. In today's video, we are going to create an expense tracker application in Angular with Bootstrap. So in this video, we will go through the process of implementing the CRUD operations, that is create, read, update and delete operations using Angular and Bootstrap. So this application will allow the users to track their expenses and perform CRUD operations on them. So let's start by creating our Angular project. We will use Angular CLI to create a new project. Open the terminal or command prompt and run the command ng new expense tracker. It might take a few moments to create a new project using npm packages. Let's start by setting up our Angular project. Now, once the Angular project is created, let us go inside the project directory. So type cd expense tracker. Now our project is set up. Let's move to the next step on creating the Now let us install Bootstrap and jQuery to that. So for that I am giving the command npm install bootstrap jQuery. So now let us execute that command. So once that is done, I am adding the packages in Angular JSON inside the source in the styles and scripts part. I'm adding the bootstrap as well as jQuery node modules into this. Now let us create a new component. So for that I am giving the command ng generate component expenses. So expenses is the name of the component, so that you can see that in the source app folder there are 4 files that are formed. One is the HTML form, the TSS, that is the TypeScript file, as well as CSS and the spec.cs. Spec.cs is a test file. So now let us write a code inside the HTML file. That is, we are defining the structure of our expense tracker inside this. In the expenses component HTML file, we will use Bootstrap CSS class to create a simple and responsive UI. So we will display the list of expenses using an HTML table. We will also add the input fields for adding and editing the expenses. Now we will bind these input fields to the properties of component using the ng model directives. So we are creating 2 forms. One is to add the expense and other is to edit the expense. There will be 2 input fields. First is the description and second is the amount, and we will enter a button and upon the clicking of the button, an add expense method will be triggered inside the TypeScript. So we will write the code for all of this. Now let us create a model class expense with two properties. One is ID, which is a number, and another is description, which is a string. And we will add another property amount, which is also a number. Now we will give a definite assignment to avoid the errors. So we are calling the expense class and creating an object out of it. This is added as an array. Now inside the ng-on-init method, we will fetch the expense. So let us create 3 expenses. So this will be displayed inside the table which we have created to display the expenses. So if new expense description and amount is added in as input, so in the expense array this will be pushed. Now for the update, if editing expense is clicked, so if edit button is clicked, then and if new expense description and amount is added into as input, then this update expense method will be triggered. So if you click on the delete button, this delete expense method will be triggered, and that index, the description and the, with that index will be found, and it will be spliced out. So it will be deleted. Now inside the app routing module TS, we will add the expense component as in the path array. So in the app module file, we will add the forms module as imports. So now almost all our errors are resolved. Now let us start running this application. So we will give a general styling inside our style.css, where it will address the bootstrap elements. So now let us open the localhost 4200, and let us test our application. We will add a description and amount, and if you click on add expense, there is some error. So let us open the console and check what is the error. So it says that we have to give a name attribute to our HTML component. So let us do that. Once we have added the name component, name attribute to our HTML components in the new add expense and edit expense form, let us run this application once again and test it. So I'm running this application using the ngserve command. So yes, our add is working. Now let us test the edit and delete. So yes, edit and delete are also working fine. Now let us change the color of our delete button to red. So here I am making the bootstrap class as BT and danger, so that the delete button becomes red in color. Also, let us change the color of our add button. So I'm making the color as green using the btn um, primary to btn success. So now let us test it once again. So now the color of add expense button has changed to green. Now let us add a service layer to this. Create a new service using the command nggs expense. So an expense service file or service ts file and the spec ts file will be generated. Now let us start implementing our service part to this. Open the expense service file. Here we will define our expense service class and implement the methods for fetching, adding, updating and deleting the expense. We will use an array to store the expenses for simplicity. So how we have implemented before inside our TypeScript component class, we will add the same over here. In the get expense method, we will return an array of expenses. In the add expense method, we will add a new expense to the array, and in the update expenses method, we will update an existing expense based on the ID. Finally, on the delete expense method, we will remove an expense from the array. Now, in the component class, let us call the service inside the constructor. So we will create a constructor here and call our service method here. And we will call each of our uh, service methods here inside our component. Now for the add expense, we will call the expense service dot add expense method, and inside the edit expense we will call the service update expense. We will call the this dot expense service dot update expense method. Similarly, for the delete expense, we will call the delete expense from the service layer. So with this updates, the expense tracker component interacts with the expense service to perform the CRUD operations on expenses. service acts as an intermediary between the component and the data. So the separation of concern allow for better code organization and make it easier to manage and test the application's functionality. So once the coding is done, let us test our application. So if you like my video so far, kindly click on the subscribe button if you are a new member here, or share this video with your friends and family. Give this video a thumbs up if you like this video, and do try this out. So we will meet with another exciting video next week. Till then, take care.